Hey everyone, I'm Alyssa, an Indianapolis Colts cheerleader for the 2024 season, and this is Bleaving Colts.
Welcome back to Bleaving Colts, brought to you by Bet Online. I'm Lawrence Owen. With me, as usual, is my guy, Donald Thomas. And, oh, man. So I'm doing this live stream, right? This live game reaction, watching the game. And it isn't even over with the first quarter yet. And I'm just like, this defense ain't even as good as a wet paper bag, because there's some resistance to a wet paper bag, when it comes to the run D. And I was like, this is awful. This is the worst I have ever seen our team play run defense, giving up 474 yards in the first 2 weeks. I will get into it a little bit more, but I'm just curious, what was your overall take from the game yesterday?
It just doesn't look spirited. Like, it doesn't look like I was all right. So I'm sitting there, and Sundays now for me are I'm at softball games. Like, my daughter has a softball tournament every weekend, so I'm like watching on my phone. Like, and I brought the iPad out so it can be bigger. I can see it, but it's just like we were sitting there and I looked at my son and I was like, this is like the first or the second drive that the Packers had, and I'm like, the Colts look like they're in slow motion, like they look slow, like it looks like they're reacting slow. They didn't come with the same intensity that Green Bay did, and he's 12, and he was like, yeah, I know, and that was just my initial take, and it just kind of was like after that, it was just like. Everything was like it was like a reaction. It was never like the Colts were like setting the tone or delivering the blow or anything like that. And it just was like the run defense was just like it was unbelievable. To be fair, like I really don't even know what to say about it. I will say I thought they started super slow and it hurt them.
Yeah, I was watching it too, and I was dumbfounded at halftime, because I was like, they've got 200 yards rushing and we're only down 10 points. And I'm like, the last two drives, the defense looked like they did okay. The offense still needs to get things going, but the defense looked like they're starting to do well. And then the second half is like a whole different defense. The defense did phenomenal. I think they gave up like 1.3 yards a carry,
Some crazy low. Like
I don't know who it was. I'm going to assume it was probably Defoe, the effect of that. And prayers out to him. I hope he is good, because that looked bad. That looked real bad.
I had to put the iPad down. I was like, I can't watch that again.
Nope. Well, I couldn't either.
I tried to get as much information as I could, and they're saying high ankle sprain right now. So everything came back negative. I don't know how much I believe that, because it looked way worse than that. But if it is a high ankle sprain, shit, we'll take that, because that looked like that could have been like bad. You know what
I mean? The side of his foot was on the side of his leg.
Right? I know. Like I only saw it once. That's all I needed. I can't watch injuries.
Oh my goodness. No. Oh. He's my favorite player on the Colts right now. And man, that hurt a lot. And now they're saying, I thought for sure IR, probably done for the season when it happened, obviously.
Yeah.
And then it just like, it was a different team. It's like this team started playing very good defensively. The problem was, I was noticing, and the same thing I saw at the Texans game. There was gaps, like you're assigned gaps. There was open gaps all over the trenches on every snap in the run game, right? Normally, you're seeing the D line crush together, hold their line, hold their gaps. No one was doing that last week, and then the first half of this past game. They weren't holding their gaps. I don't know if they were going after the quarterback, not worried about the run game. Obviously, this was a game where you had to have known Malik Willis is the quarterback. They're going to rely on Josh Jacobs, right? They're going to rely on him and the run game. You got to hold your gaps. And like I said, I don't know what happened in the second half, but the defense only allowed 16 points this game. 16 points. But before we get into it any further, I'm sorry, I completely forgot. Almost. BetOnline is your world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for everything football. BetOnline has every stat, every matchup, even live odds and spreads to bet on during the games. Think you know your stuff? Get in on our $200,000 mega contest and pick 5 games against the spread every week for your chance at weekly prizes and your share up to the $200,000. When the game's over, head over to our online casino and get in on the game of blackjack or poker or unwind with one of our over 150 slot games. Just head to the website today and get in on the action. Bet online. The game starts here. So, man, I'm done. I know our run defense is going to have problems with DeForest Buckner out, but even while he was out, he looked pretty good. But now I want to switch offensively. Offensively, had my hair. I was pulling my hair out. All right. The only guy on that offense, there was 6 guys on that offense I thought played okay. And one was Alec Pierce. And 2 was Jonathan Taylor outside of the passing game.
Right, yeah.
And then the entire line outside of Quentin Nelson. And the only reason I'm leaving Quentin Nelson out is because he was hit for 2 penalties, 2 flags, one for holding, one for false start. Right. Outside of that, I mean, his blocking was good. It's just, he got hit for a couple flags on there, and that kind of set us back a little bit. But effectively playing, he played very well. The rest of the O-line, I thought, played a very good, clean game. What was some problems? I mean, what were you thinking of, man?
You know what? So, was it really like? There's so many yards that are left on the field in the run game, especially in my opinion. Like, I don't know what's going on. To be honest, I just feel like there's a lack of push up front on some of these. Like the first half, correct me if I'm wrong, but Jonathan Taylor literally gets the ball and he runs into the back of Quentin Nelson multiple times. Like literally.
Mm-hmm.
Like, am I not seeing this? Like, and I'm like, that's not designed to be that way.
No, but I'm almost thinking that he's kind of like he's running into him, but he's like holding off, like waiting for all the other blocks to because Quentin's a big dude, and a running back can get lost behind Quentin Nelson. You know, 100%.
But I'm just saying but Quentin's getting pushed back into the backfield, where we're never going back. We're always going forward. Like, you know what I'm saying? Unless it's a draw, it's a different kind of setup play. I think there's a lack of a point of attack that we're not seeing to get the initial run game going. But it's very frustrating when you see something happen in the first half, it's not working, and then like we make corrections, and then we have a whole nother second half where like all of a sudden, with minus Jonathan Taylor, I don't think we have 200 yards total for the whole team.
So Jonathan Taylor, in the first half, he only had 5 carries, right? And his full average was actually higher than the opposing running backs, and he was having a great day. He got stopped, I think, for two losses, but the other 3 runs were big monster runs, right? And I think that helped his average out to like 7.2 yards in the first half or something like that for Jonathan Taylor. And then in the second half, it was completely different, right? He was still being patient. There was one run where I was like, that's all on Jonathan Taylor. Well, I saw a run where both the left guard and the left tackle pulled, right? So that D end was free run, and Taylor, and it was a off tackle to the right side.
Right, yeah.
And he paused to let things set up. And when you got a free runner coming crashing down the line, you can't pause. And that was one of his stuffs, right? That was all on him on that specific situation. But in my opinion, I thought the run game overall for the game wasn't bad. I think it had a lot to do with play calling. I mean, you had, I think, 16 total plays. Only 5 of them was the run plays, right? Only 5. And let's not forget Anthony Richardson, right? his first run, whether it was in the option game or quarterback design, wasn't until the fourth quarter, right? And it was a designed run right up the gut where he, took off, picked up, I think 6, 7, 8 yards, something like that. But that was the first time he ran the ball. And in this situation, when the passing game, there was something off about it with darn near everybody, quarterback, receivers, everything,
Yeah.
You need to be able to run the football, and you're leaving out half of your attack by not at least utilizing Anthony Richardson's legs at some point earlier so that Jonathan Taylor could have that option. You get what I'm saying? Like and there was another play where it was a quarterback option sweep to the right,
to the left. Yeah, let's not even talk about that play.
That was the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
Like Lawrence, let's not talk about that play right there was. I'm not. But I'll say this just in rebuttal to what you just said, right? Fourth quarter, you finally utilize. Like, do you really want Anthony Richardson to have design runs in the beginning of the game? The first half, do you really? I mean, if it's not necessary. Hold on. So 1 minute we're saying we want Anthony to stay healthy. We want Anthony to be able to play long term, learn how to be a passer, so it evolves his game more and more. But then on the other hand, now we're saying that we're upset that Anthony's not running the ball up until the fourth quarter. Like, we can't have it either way, because think about it like this: like, you just had that man come off a shoulder injury. He's still trying to get his feet wet. You're trying to develop a quarterback. You're trying to make sure that he's comfortable. We're trying to get other people to have to elevate their game or play well so that you don't have to do certain things and make a young quarterback that's still learning the game have more on his plate. Like, I would not have Anthony running the football or have design runs. Yeah, I would sprinkle in every now and then, but that's not going to be my secondary weapon in the run game. No way, not even close to it. You see what I'm saying?
I see exactly what you're saying, and I'm not arguing that point. I'm saying he is there. I feel like he should have had some kind of run, whether it was in the option or quarterback design, early in the first quarter, just to establish that he's there, and the defense legitimately has to keep an eye on him. Even if he doesn't make that second attempt until the fourth quarter, at least you established it, that you are willing to do it in the first, and make the defense think about it the whole game.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think that from a standpoint of, I think they went to a little bit of panic mode. I think the Colts went to a panic mode of thinking they had to start, throwing the football to stay in this thing, because at one point it looked like it was going to get really out of hand. Like, if Green Bay had scored and didn't fumble going into the end zone,
oh
yeah, that was the backbreaker right there. Like, that would have been like. So I think that from the standpoint of, like, in the second half, everybody kind of realized, like, yo, we're still in this game. Like,
yeah.
Like, no matter how bad it was, how many rushing yards we gave them in the first half, which is incredible, by the way, we're still in this game. And I think that's when they started to believe that they can compete to win this football game. And the coaches also realized that this game is not out of reach. The game plan changed a little bit more to where they got back into trying to do some things that they could do, like going to Jonathan Taylor, trying to spread the ball a little bit, receivers having to pick up and actually catch the football, like throwing a run in there, for Anthony Richardson, like, because the game's out of him. We don't have to rely on Anthony to start throwing the ball down the field.
No.
Like, wait a minute, this game we're a score away from winning a football game. As bad as it looked before, it's not. The score is not indicative of what happened in that game. Like, if you just saw the score, you'd be like, "Oh, well, they played them tough, didn't they?" Like,
we were one Hail Mary away from winning the game when, I don't know about you. This is the second week in a row where I felt like we had no business being in the game at the end of the game.
100%. Yeah. Now, we can't have these games like this all the time, but here's the deal. It's the NFL. Games are usually just, they're one-score games.
Mm-hmm.
So this isn't far-fetched. It's just the way we go about making it a one-score game. Like, I think the Colts are doing a terrible job of starting the game off. They're starting way too slow, and teams I feel like, in my opinion, and this is like always in my career, like when you play on a team and that other team isn't like as good, or you don't respect them like how you respect some other teams. Like you're like, let's just get this over with real quick. So you go in and you just try to jump on them fast and break their will and all of that. And so the good thing I do think is a moral victory from the Colts is them not folding, not giving up, not competing. It just sometimes it's just too late. And then here's the other thing, and I learned this from Tony Sperano, who was my first coach in the league in Miami. You can't win a game, or you do not deserve to win a game when you turn the ball over.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to win the turnover battle. And he put up all these stats. And if you don't win the turnover, and I wish I could have remember all these stats, but excuse me. If you have 1 turnover to 0 turnovers, you're right. Your chance of winning a football game, if you're the one that's losing the turnover battle, is like 70-something%. Let's just say numbers, right? And it goes up, it lowers for the more turnovers you have. And granted, the third pick was the Hail Mary. So let's call it 2, but it still goes on Anthony Richardson's stat line.
Yeah.
How many interceptions he's thrown this year, right?
Yeah.
You just don't deserve to win a football game if you lose a turnover battle. Like, you just can't. And then the turnovers came in. Well, the whole game was a crucial time because it never was out of hand, right? So, like, they're just crucial turnovers, right? If you think about it, the Packers had that fumble. We had the 2 interceptions, right? Am I missing a turnover by anybody?
No, but we did have a fumble that was it Kylan Granson? I think it was, I think it was Kylan Granson that shoved it out of bounds.
Yeah. He punched it out, which was a very heads-up play.
Yeah,
very, very heads-up play because that ball dropped in, and it was sitting there. Like, when you watch on TV, you don't see it right away. They show that replay, like, yo, dang, that was definitely fumble. Definitely could have been picked up. So heads up. So I'm glad that wasn't a turnover, but it would have been 4-1. You don't deserve to win a football game. You can't.
No,
the ball is the most important priority. You got to hold on to the football. You can't give it up. You can't throw it away. So that is what hurt us. I think if you take that away, if you look at some of the balls, I mean, Anthony got the balls to the receivers. They just dropped them, right? Like, you had drop balls
on a few of them. There was so now obviously AD Mitchell, that throw to him, it hit him right here. Right, it hit him right. I don't. Probably you and me both probably think he was thinking go before he even caught it.
Oh,
right?
It's a 99% chance you're right on that.
Yeah, but now like the 2 flats to Jonathan Taylor that he dropped, right? That he had to go all the way back here. A lot of people don't realize that running backs have different pads than wide receivers, right? They do. It's a little bit more difficult to get all the way around and catch the ball, but still hit his hands. Should have caught him. Might have played a little part in why Jonathan Taylor wasn't on the field the second part of the 4th quarter, right? I mean, it's possible.
I mean, he didn't play the whole second half.
Yeah,
for a second, like I'm like, what? I'm like, is he hurt?
Yeah, I know. No, he wasn't hurt. I think he was pulled in favor of Sermon because Sermon supposedly has better hands, him and Goodson, right? Even though Goodson's the one that dropped the football, and I'm not going to go back there. All right. A lot of the passes were in bad spots that was behind receivers or way low. That catch that Alec Pierce did, that diving scoop off the ground with one hand, that was a beautiful catch.
Yeah.
Shouldn't have been a catch, in all honesty.
No,
he should not have been able to catch that. He caught it. That's amazing. There was another one where he had slipped a little bit over his head, got a hand up. But a lot of the passes were just not placed in proper spots or thrown into incredibly tight double or triple coverage, right? both those interceptions were poor, ill-advised throws that
Mhm.
I would not have, made. I'm wondering if you talked about this on the last episode
Mhm.
about how it might have been the episode before, I can't remember, about how a strength can be a hindrance to somebody because they start relying on it too much, right? And once you get to the pros,
Yep.
Anthony Richardson has throwing power, like enormous amount of throwing power, and he's used to being able to throw it in the tight spaces.
Yep.
And I'm wondering if that is a problem right now in the NFL, where he's trying to thread the needle way too tight, and he's just making ill-advised decisions.
You listen, Lawrence, that's what it is. But when you think you can do, like, okay, so perfect example. If we go away from this Colts game real quick,
Mhm.
real quick, we'll come right back to it. I know what the show is and what it's about. But look at the look at the Bears game yesterday.
Mhm.
Welcome to the NFL, rookie. 7 sacks, picks, balls not being where it's supposed to be.
Mhm.
You can't do that anymore. Everybody, now to go back to what we're talking about now, you can't do those things anymore.
Mhm.
Because guess what? Everybody that plays professional sports has a extraordinary ability to do certain things that they've been doing their whole life. So you throwing the ball 100 miles an hour in a tight coverage in college is all right, because guess what? All them guys ain't playing on Sundays. I don't care if it's the SEC, AC, whatever it is. Everybody's not an NFL player. You go up to the big leagues, and now it's a different story. So now you got to be able to thread that ball, you got to be able to thread the needle. And if it ain't there, you can't force it, because guess what? That's where the pick comes in. Because
Mhm.
these dudes over here on defense are exceptional, extraordinary. So it doesn't
Mhm.
work anymore. So you have to understand, I have to use my supernatural ability in smart ways, because guess what? Everybody's got a superpower that I'm looking at across the board.
Yep.
Everybody can do something extraordinary, whether it's breaking on the ball, reading the offense, being deceptive, you know what I'm saying, covering a guy. Everybody's is extraordinary in something. That's why they're there. That's why they're on that field. So you've just got to understand that goes for every position. How do I utilize my strengths that have been my strengths my whole life, that have been the guys that are now working, at Home Depot, Chipotle, wherever they're at, that I played against, and I just lit them up on the field. I could do that to them, but that's why they're not playing on Sundays. So you got to understand, this is the best of the best. So they're coming for you, and you can't make that throw unless you are elevating your game to be able to make that throw in very tight spots and do those supernatural things. But if not, man, your supernatural power has become just it's been pedestrian at best, and you better figure out how to elevate other parts of your game so that you can stay and play in this league for a long time. And that goes for anybody. I'm not just talking about AR. I'm talking about every position down the board, right? I had to learn that. I couldn't do things in college I can't get away with in the process. These dudes, that ain't going to work all the time, because guess
Mhm.
what? They're extraordinary at what they do too. So you got to
Yeah.
learn how to play, use your strengths to benefit yourself and help you out. So it goes for everybody. He's got to learn. I just can't launch the ball as fast as hard as I can for just to get there. These dudes can catch balls, they can cover, they can do it all. And guess what? There's a reason why there's coordinators that are in college and there's coordinators in the pros, and some coordinators from college level never make it to the pros, because that's a whole nother level of being a coordinator. You know what I'm saying? Coaching guys and having game plans for certain offenses. So it's a whole learning process that it all ties in together, that you have to understand and learn. You have to study. So it just comes down to when game plan wise, you got to understand the coordinator. You got to understand the defense that they're in, how they play it, how aggressive their their DBs are. Just everything. It's more than just looking at a matchup,
Yep.
the whole matchup, and then
Mhm.
understand where you can expose somebody. So he's got to learn, man. Excuse me, I didn't mean to go off on a tangent or kind of go off on that, but yes, that's going to be kind of like a hindrance in his development unless he really understands this is what is hurting me. I can't before I can't do it. Don't do it. Go through your progression, maybe throw the ball away, take it, get some yards, but don't do that because you're hurting your team in critical situations. At times like that was the first pick was a huge momentum shift because nothing was going right before, and then you throw the pick. It's like, oh,
yep.
Now what's next?
So I'm going to ask you a question, and it's going to sound like it's way off topic, but let me lead it in because this has a lot to do with what you were just talking about. Who is the quarterback for the Carolina Panthers
now, or were you asking me on Sunday?
Right now.
After the quarterback change?
Right now. Yeah, it's Andy Dalton, the Red Rifle, because the number one pick in the last year's NFL draft got benched, right? The number one pick. So that brings up a question. If the number one pick in the NFL draft from just a year ago gets benched for how old is Andy Dalton?
He's got to be at least
when was 30, the last time he played
36, 37.
And when was the last time he played?
Remember. Was it Dallas or was
Dallas? Yes. That was like, what, 2-3 years ago or something?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a question out there. Obviously, Anthony Richardson's got some growing up to do. Do we keep him in? Let him play? Learn from experience? Take the bruises, take the beatings, take the L's while he gains his experience and hope he doesn't get hurt again? Or do you bring in the 40-year-old and Joe Flacco?
You do not put Joe Flacco in until it becomes, nuclear. Because here's the deal. No matter how you look at it, unless you really want to look crazy from a front office standpoint, like how Carolina looks crazy from an offense, like from a front office standpoint, but at the end of the day, like Carolina doesn't have the history the Colts have or nearly the success the Colts have had in the past. You have to live with this decision. Because here's the problem. Like Bryce Young is 5'8". Okay. I don't think he's not 6 feet tall. So you drafted, he's not. I've seen him, the man in person. He ain't 6 feet.
5'10".
Y'all about to say, don't let him lie to you. He's not 6 feet.
He's 5'10", 200 pounds. My goodness.
Thank you. Like really put that into perspective. So here's the problem. So from the standpoint of a lot of Colts fans, I'll speak on this. There's gonna be people who are so frustrated with Anthony Richardson. They're gonna say, put Flacco in, do this. It's like, unless it's like week 12, week 11, week 11 to week 13 mark, you don't want to put him in. Because Joe Flacco doesn't have the durability to make it through a season, that's number one. Two, if you take Anthony Richardson out of this of the lineup and sit him on the bench, a lot of things are happening. These are the main things going to happen. He's going to lose all his confidence. So when he has to go back in, you're back to square one. Two, he's not learning from his mistakes. He's not getting the experience he needs. And three, right, you look crazy as an organization. And it causes more turmoil, more distractions, more what am I looking for? Locker room, you know what I'm saying? Just divide, right? Yeah. To whereas now you're back to square one again because you don't have a quarterback for the future. You have 40-year-old Joe Flacco. You've got Anthony Richardson, who's 22, 23 years old, who has zero confidence, knows that the organization is not in love with him, knows the city probably is done and fed up with him. They hate him. He wants out of Indianapolis. He's miserable. Everybody else around you, now you lost the team because they don't want to play for him. Some guys have already don't think he's the greatest already. And so they're ready for him to get out. They're causing this. They want to win games. And now look, you lost everybody. And you're in a worse spot than you were when you were trying to get Anthony, when you went through all these different old-ass quarterbacks trying to put a Band-Aid on a situation and not just getting aggressive or trying to find I said it a million times. Everyone didn't want him. Who didn't they want, Lawrence? Who didn't you want when I said we should have got him? Down in Tampa Bay, lighting it up.
Oh, I've wanted him for a while, Baker Mayfield. I wanted him back when the rumor was going around.
Everybody said I was crazy. I'm like, yo, Baker just need
to get into a good situation.
Shoot, Derek Carr looks great right now.
Oh, Derek Carr is lighting the whole world on fire right now.
What's calls out there winning football games in Vegas.
Mm-hmm. Minshew.
Yeah. So it's just like you gave up. You passed on a lot of different scenarios that could have helped you out. Tampa Bay didn't. New Orleans didn't. The Raiders didn't. But we were like, oh, we're all in on AR, but at the same time, like, you got to understand that this is a huge move. You've got to make the right one. Granted, all right, that class wasn't great for quarterbacks last year. It wasn't.
I mean, Stroud looks pretty damn good, but
no, I'm saying, like, if you look at it from this year's, like, talent-wise, how many guys came out there actually going to be impactful, in my opinion. Last year, you got Stroud and everyone else was just.
We'll see.
Look at what Will Levis did yesterday. Jesus Christmas. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, just doing crazy stuff. So, like, when you look at it, like, you got to ride this out. You're stuck with it. Or you're gonna look like you're just setting the organization back if you give up now and you put them, you take them out, put the old man in. It's like you put a huge investment on the sideline, and now the fans are in the uproar. The players are in more of an uproar because they got to deal with this every day while the fan goes to work and talks.
Yeah.
Well, for the players, that is work.
Mm-hmm.
How you think they feel when the controversy, same way where everybody else with controversy in the workplace, yo, that affects everybody in everyone's production, whether it's working at the grocery store or working at a Fortune 500 company or working at being an NFL athlete.
And I just want to make sure that you understand, I agree with just 99% of everything you just said. Okay. I just bringing it up there because I've seen it there on social media. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm like, no, we knew coming in, he's played 16 games from college to the NFL, right? 16 games. Okay. He's completely inexperienced. He needs time to get his feet under him. He's nowhere near as good, in my opinion, as what he can be if everything goes right and he learns and progresses, right? He's got a lot to learn and a lot to progress through. We're just going to have to sit here and take the beating and the bruises and the, oh my God, what was that game, to go along with, some of the stuff that we see occasionally going, there's not another quarterback in the NFL that can make that throw. Every once in a while you see that, right? So, or, oh my goodness, he just took off and, 40 yards untouched. That's stuff that you're going to get from him. And then you're also going to get the, hopefully that throwing into triple coverage in tight triple coverage when there's two other guys wide open, right, on the same play, hopefully that will start to dwindle down.
Yeah,
as his experience comes up, and he starts to understand how to get through his progressions quicker, make better reads, make better decisions.
Yeah,
it's just going to take time, and we're just going to have to live with it until then.
Yeah,
but I'm going to say something here, and I have been a big proponent of Shane Steichen. That was the worst game I've seen from him period, last year to this year so far. Worst play calling, decision making. He punted on his own 45, 4th and 4 at his own 45, down 10. Okay, with plenty of time left. No, he didn't punt. That's the problem. He went for it on his own 45, 4th and 4. I would have punted that ball. I would have been like, you know what? We got one of the better punters. Rigo, is a good punter. He could put him back there. This was when our defense was starting to get their, rhythm going, right? And starting to stop people. I was like, punt him, pin him back. Let's flip the field position, right? But no, he went for it, gave him the ball. They score. and now we're deeper in trouble, right? And that's a situation where I understand going for it when you're on, the other side of the 45. You're in no man's land, right? And you can't really kick it, and punting it, you're not really going to give up 20 yards, 30 yards at the most. What's the point? Just go for it at that point. I understand that call, but there's a big difference in that 10 yards, right? When you're on the other side of the 50, when you're on your own side, and they need 5 yards to get in field goal range, right? That's not something that I want to see. And obviously we already talked about some of the play calls that he made. I thought this was just a poorly executed game, coaching wise, from Shane Steichen.
I'll be the first to say, you probably have read between the lines a little bit. I've never really been a huge fan. Mm-hmm. I don't think I've ever come out and said that until this episode, but I feel like if you notice some of the things, comments that I've said, you can kind of be like, yo, I don't know if he likes him or not. I'm not going to go out as far as say I don't like him as a coach. I just don't know if he is a real motivator or a real, all right, so to make a call go for a 4th and 4 in that situation, I get what you're trying to do. You're trying to get your team to buy into what you believe in, and you're telling them that you believe in them, and you want them to be like, yo, he believes in us. We got to go get this. And then you got to be realistic at the same time. Right. And so some of the decisions, some of the play calls, some of the preparation skills just I don't see it being where it should be. And I can confidently say this because I have little birdies that tell me this stuff. I can't give out names, just call them CIs. They don't really fully believe in them either.
Well, here you're sitting there talking about how, he goes for it on 4th and 4 in that situation to kind of show, hey, I believe in you, go get this. You know what punting does in that situation? It tells the defense, hey, I believe in you, get a stop, get the ball back, put us in a good position, right? That's also what punting would do in that situation.
Right.
So, either decision at that point, you're putting your faith in somebody, which is the better decision at that point, right? And
well, clearly, the better decision is punting the ball and playing with the field position and having your defense, step up and you saying, I believe in you guys, as opposed to let's go be tough guys and show them that we can get the first down and break their whip.
Oh, that wasn't a tough guy situation. That was the freaking quarterback's option stretch play that we were just saying that was awful,
No, but yeah, the whole thing is this mindset of them being on the same page. I'm just not in agreement with how with them, again, like we said with the 2-point play. That's your best play that you got for that situation. That's the best play you got for your in that situation.
I almost say quarterback sneak or halfback dive at that, because we have
4th and 4 that's
I'm not talking about 4th and 4. I'm talking about 2-point conversion.
Oh, okay. I just referenced that real quick. Yeah. But I'm just saying though, I don't know, man. I feel like there's a lot that needs to be changed or worked on or tweaked. From a standpoint of what you just said, you thought that was probably the worst game that he has coached and made decisions on. And I'm in agreement with you, but I've seen this happening. This has been one of those things where I just don't feel a strong presence from the head coach that has a team going in the right direction. And then we always give the fall on the sword head coach same interview. I got to do better. I have to have the team better. I have to have them ready to go. We have to correct some things when we go back. We'll review the film. We'll review the tape. We'll make the adjustment. Yo, shut the fuck up. I don't want to hear that. You've got to have guys going the whole week ready to rock. You can't have, I can't go into battle not knowing that my troops and everybody doesn't really fully believe in what the mission is, how we have to accomplish it. If I don't have the whole locker room, if I don't have the whole platoon or whatever it is, there's a chink in the armor, literally.
Mm-hmm.
And people will expose that. And so, like, you can sniff blood when you're on the field and you see it. Like, I know for a fact that the run game was talked about, defense, beginning of the week, but it wasn't a huge emphasis on the game. I know for a fact that a little birdie told me that if we know that the starting quarterback is out and we know that the backup is in and he's not going to be throwing the ball, why wouldn't we put more of an effort in the run game? And not even that, not even putting more of a emphasis on it, but how is that being allowed for them to run the ball that much or stop the like? You've got to put an emphasis on. You know they about to be running the football.
Not only did you know they were going to run the football, see that's the thing that gets me is our team can obviously stop the run. They did it in the second half. The whole damn second half, they did a fine job stopping the run. They knew it was coming. They stopped it. Well, shit, it's not like you didn't know it was coming in the first half. You know, you knew it was coming in the first half.
But that's what I'm saying about going into battle, having your guys ready to go. Mm-hmm. You can't go into battle and y'all not ready to, and then all of a sudden after half of your team gets blown up, now we ready to fight. What the coach is showing is that they're a good enough football team to do what they do in the second half to teams in the first half. They got to figure out a way or formula to flip that so that not flip it, but fit, like, put it all together. How you guys played in the second half. I need that in the first half, but I need you to finish the game as well. And they're showing that they're good enough to do it, but they're not showing that they're good enough to consistently put it together for all four quarters. And that's where coaching comes into play. How do I get my guys ready to go from the jump? Where are the good play calls to get them in positions to be confident, to be dominant, like how they did in the second half, right? So are we a run-first team, pass second, or are we a mix-it-up kind of deal? Or what do we need to do to get everybody going? I got a star running back that can control a football game if we get everybody going in the right. If I get the O-line in the proper position, we run the right plays. I got a receiving core led by Michael Pittman Jr., right, that can do some things, deep threats. I know Alec Pierce can run with the best of them down the field. How do I get him open? What can I design to get Alec open, or just get Michael Pittman, who I just paid a boatload of money to, the football, and not having 3 catches on the day? We haven't even touched that yet. That's a whole other episode. We'll see how bad it gets.
Yep.
But that's something that's starting to bother me. I'll throw that out there to everybody. But that's a whole other episode or half of one that we can talk about. But we got to get them the football, or try to, or you got to step up, or you got to become the guy to be focal to figure out, how do we mix this up? How do I help the team out? Because I'm tired of hearing about, we got to do things for Anthony. Because guess what? Colts fans, we're in this boat together. A lot of oars in the water, a lot of oars going different ways and what have you. But at the end of the day, like, unless AR's hurt, if they make a decision to move from Anthony and put him on the bench, it's catastrophic in so many different levels. So right now it's bigger than wins and losses. I hate to say it.
Next week we play the Bears. We all know, we just got done talking about earlier about how, Caleb did not have the best of days, right? He's not been the greatest so far these first 2 weeks. I mean, he's kind of pushing Anthony Richardson right now for, in my opinion, of what in the world's going on here. But we just gave Malik Willis a game where he went 12 of 14, 122 yards, a touchdown, no picks. Yeah. All right. I mean, that's not outrageous yardage, but 95% completions and a touchdown, no turnovers. All right. And then, of course, CJ had his game last week. Then plus the running games of 400, damn near 450 yards in 2 games. They got DeAndre Swift, right? the Bears do, and they got a hell of a defense. You think we've had problems with the Texans? You think we had problems with Green Bay? Chicago got a defense. All right. So I'm a little bit worried about this. We end up giving Caleb Williams his confidence, his first game confidence walking out. I'm gonna be so pissed. But that's for another episode. That's for another episode.
I wouldn't out. We'll talk about that in a few days. But
any final words, man?
Here's the deal. I think the Colts are good enough to win football games. I think they have to figure out. I'm not gonna say the quarterback situation. That is who we have. Mm-hmm. That is what it is. I think that they just need to figure out from a coaching standpoint how can we get our team going? How can we get our team going? We say we have the right pieces right here in the locker room. So let's figure this out. That's number one. Two, if you're a true Colts fan, if you're a true realistic person, you understand that this was going to happen. This is what we were about to be dealing with. Unfortunately, it's only week 2 going. This is week 3 now. It's going to be a roller coaster ride, and there's going to be some high moments where we might win a few games in a row. There's going to be low moments where there's games that should have been won and we lost them, and there's going to be some that we just want to forget about. So, this is all the growing pains of drafting a quarterback high. You never know what you're going to get. You hope for the best, but we also have some issues. We got to figure out some guys just got to step up and make some plays, but it's all trickle-down effect. I think it comes from the top down on this one. I truly do, but they're pros. They got to be self-starters. Somebody has to hold each other accountable, and I think it starts from within inside themselves to believe in each other. If they're not going to believe in the head coach fully, like how they should, I just think that they got to figure that out. And so once all those things happen, it's just so much more than just what you see on Sundays, man. And so we just got to figure it out. We got to figure it out. But I'm very optimistic, and I hope for the best for them to. It's not over. It's only week 3, but nobody wants to start off 0-2, but we'll be all right.
So you heard it here first. Donald Thomas said here on Believe in Colts that the Colts need to believe in Colts. Okay?
Correct. Yeah. No pun intended, right? But no, they really do, man. I think they have enough talent over there. They just have to believe in each other. And, Anthony just got to step up and just kind of just start to be a student of the game a little bit more and believe in himself, but understand what his, talents are, what his limitations are, and what causes those limitations from having so much talent, if that makes sense. So, hey, man, I'm excited to see it. I hope that they start winning some football games for the sake of, Anthony's career and his confidence.
And the 2 things I got to say is Anthony Richardson needs to get in a situation where take what the defense gives you. Don't try to force anything, right? And when it comes to the defensive front 7, you got to start the game with that mindset. Don't come in at halftime with it. All right. That's my thought process. 2 weeks, 2 bad games, 2 bad episodes of walking in here with negativity. I am hoping for some positivity upcoming against the Bears. We will get into that later this week. But until then, I'm Lawrence Owen. That's Donald Thomas. This was Believe in Colts, brought to you by Bet Online. And as usual, go Colts.
Go Colts.
Do you believe?